Ladies and gentlemen, for the first time in a long time, Saturday night's main event feels like it matters. Maybe it's because it's no longer on NBC. Maybe it's because it no longer is restricted to 2 hours. Maybe it's because we're forced to crown a new world heavyweight champion. All I know is that at face value, for the first time in a hot minute, Saturday night's main event feels like it's must watch. So in today's video, we're gonna go through a bunch of your predictions on the show, whether it's match results, upcoming matches that you think might get booked, swerves, debuts. I wanted to hear it all. So I grabbed a bunch of your predictions and we're going to be commenting on them. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, ring the bell for notifications. If you're a wrestling fan, I know that you're going to fall in love with this YouTube channel because we always upload daily wrestling content. And if the daily wrestling content just simply isn't enough, consider coming over to the Patreon, patreon.com/SantiZab, where you're going to get so much more extra daily content that we can never upload here because it would just get blocked due to copyright because we use real footage over there. So go check it out. Link in the description, link in the pinned comment. You already know. Go Blue Jays. Let's see what you guys sent in. Drew wins the title. It's got to be now. Cody can win it back eventually, but Drew has done such great work for such a long time that they've got to pull the trigger on him now or they never will. To be fair, this entire concept of they have to pull the trigger now or they never will has been a narrative with Drew McIntyre for a fairly long time now. So I don't think that this is the final opportunity for Drew McIntyre to finally win a WWE World Championship. If he doesn't win it here, I'm sure they'll continue to dangle the carrot in front of us for a long time, for years to come. But I will say, I think that this would be a pleasant surprise for Drew McIntyre to be so under the skin of Cody Rhodes that he managed to get Cody Rhodes to get himself disqualified. He managed to get Cody Rhodes to inadvertently jump himself into a match for the WWE Championship while still wearing a suit and dress shoes. And maybe he's so under his skin that he finds a way to finally defeat him for the WWE Championship. I honestly don't hate it. Like right now, it's a bit of a dead period for the main event likes of the names of Cody Rhodes. There is a lot of time between now and WrestleMania. There is plenty of room, plenty of space for Cody Rhodes to lose the championship at a show like Saturday night's main event and win it back somewhere along the line to the road to WrestleMania if you're really that dead set on Cody Rhodes main eventing WrestleMania 42 for the WWE Championship. Like there's room for this outcome to happen. I also think that CM Punk is going to be winning the World Heavyweight Championship, so it'd be a pretty cool full circle moment if these two guys that absolutely despise each other manage to find ways to get to the top of the company, both being world champions at the same time. But the reason why I want a Drew McIntyre win isn't even so much because I want to see Drew McIntyre win. That is a major reason. But one of the big reasons why I want to see Drew win is because I want a shock. I want a genuine surprise at this new version of Saturday night's main event that some people are thinking is going to be closer to a PLE than a TV special because it's going to be on a streaming service on Peacock and on YouTube as opposed to just on regular TV where it has to end at the 2-hour mark because of the local news, where it probably has to be significantly more PG and is less willing to advance storylines because not everybody's that watches Raw and SmackDown is going to be watching Saturday night's main event or have access to it. That's not the same case here anymore. You are absolutely in a position to make Saturday night's main event something that is akin to a PLE, and one of the ways to do it is to genuinely shock us with a Drew McIntyre world title victory. I still think the odds aren't particularly on his favor, but I really think that the odds are not zero. Jimmy is going to cost Jey the match for the World Heavyweight Championship, and this will set up their match at Survivor Series. Does everyone have a sour taste in their mouth from their last match? Yes. Do I think that this one will be better? Yes. This will set up something bigger for the 3 OG Bloodline members. Look, I am a jaded individual after the first awful, terrible, worst match of the year, Jey Uso versus Jimmy Uso at WrestleMania 40. But I do agree, I am willing to give them the benefit of the doubt. If they want to run that match again, it simply just can't be worse. That at the very least has to be a silver lining that most people can, at the very minimum, somewhat agree with. It just can't be worse, right? So if we're expecting that it can't be worse, then by default, it likely means that it will be better. And I like what you're mentioning here, that there might be something bigger for the the 3 OG Bloodline members. No one has brought up the idea of maybe a World Heavyweight Championship triple threat match between the 3 OG Bloodline members somewhere down the line. That can be explored. That'd be pretty cool. And there's already beef between Jey and Jimmy to some degree. There's definitely beef between Jimmy and Roman, but if we can truly implode Jimmy and Jey in some capacity, then we can really dig our teeth into whatever it is that they want to do with the 3 OG Bloodline members. And this is a prediction that so many people are making, that Jimmy is going to get himself involved in this match. There are so many possible shenanigans and run-ins that could happen in the CM Punk versus Jey Uso match that I'm at the point where I'm not even necessarily convinced that we're going to walk out with a new World Heavyweight Champion. Gunther intervenes for the breaking of his nose at SummerSlam, costs Punk the match. Therefore, it will be 4 letters, 1 word, shit. I don't see Gunther returning just yet. I could see Gunther returning on the lead up to Survivor Series War Games shortly after Saturday night's main event. But you're right, there is still some unfinished business between Gunther and CM Punk. Jey Uso has been telling the world that he never got his rematch. Somebody else that never got his rematch is Gunther. So Gunther could absolutely be in line to return, attack CM Punk. He could be one of those many shenanigans that could happen. But I feel like out of all of the possibilities of people that could get intervened, like Jimmy, a new member of the Vision, the current members of the Vision, I put Gunther on like the lower end of likelihood to happen here. Jey Uso, unfortunately, is winning the title. Roman Reigns will then tell Jey that he is progressing exactly the way that Roman was saying to, and that will infuriate Jimmy more. I sleep hoping I'm wrong. I got a lot of people mad when I said that Jey Uso's storyline eventually will necessitate a world championship victory, and I firmly stand behind that, because if you're trying to tell the story that Jey is becoming like the tribal chief, what is one of the things that was synonymous with the tribal chief character for so long? Being a champion. Like Roman, since becoming the tribal chief, has been a champion during his time as the tribal chief longer than not being a champion. So if you're trying to be like the tribal chief, logic dictates that a championship should be just around the corner if you really want to create that visualization and that contrast between Jey's version of the tribal chief and Roman's version of the tribal chief. I just don't think it should be at Saturday night's main event. Right now, I'm of the mind that the World Heavyweight Championship requires a stronger champion like a CM Punk. I don't think that we're in the best place right now to experiment with this Jey Uso World Championship run number 2 as prototype tribal chief. I still think that there's more to develop with this Jey Uso storyline to get to the point where he's winning a World Heavyweight Championship, and I think that more hardship and more struggles and more failures like losing to CM Punk can lead him down a more realistic path to be more tyrannical and evil and ruthless and dripped in gold like Roman Reigns was. Somebody will attack Jey, Jimmy will sub in for him and win the title. I'm delusional. At least we agree, you're delusional, although I don't think that you are entirely crazy, not because I think that there's a possibility that this happens, but because I think that there's a possibility that somewhere down the line, Jimmy Uso could be getting his own World Heavyweight Championship opportunity, because I do think it would be kind of poetic if the guy, Jey Uso, who is willing to sacrifice his morals to become like the tribal chief, fails, but then Jimmy, the guy that stays straight, the guy that continues to be a good person, the guy that shrugs off the idea of being a tyrannical family leader like Roman Reigns, what if that guy is the one that wins the World Heavyweight Championship? There's something very interesting to tell there. Jimmy helps Jey win the title and, quote, falls in line with Jey, but only because he's his brother, but Jimmy won't look happy planting more seats toward Uso versus Uso for the title. This is what I mean, that there are other pieces to the narrative that need to fall in line before Jey Uso becomes a World Heavyweight Champion. I think that this piece, the Jimmy falling in line, whether it's because he's happy about it or because he's reluctant, I think that that's a piece of the story that should happen before he becomes World Heavyweight Champion. That's my humble opinion. And I think that that would be after Saturday night's main event. So I don't expect the falling in line to happen here at Saturday night's main event, because the falling in line storyline storyline requires them to fight each other, much like Jey and Roman did all of those years ago. Brock Lesnar comes out to F5 CM Punk for no reason. You know what's hilarious? Like, I don't know if you sent this in to meme, but like, this could happen. Like, genuinely, this could happen as we're going in towards the buildup of War Games. We know that the Vision is lacking one major superstar now in Seth Rollins, and there were heavy rumors circulating that the original War Games match was going to include Brock Lesnar. So yeah, now that Brock Lesnar is back in the fold, I could absolutely see a world where Paul Heyman once again hires the services of Brock Lesnar to help out the Vision, to help out Paul Heyman, to screw over CM Punk, to lead to Team Vision that involves Brock Lesnar against Team CM Punk at War Games. I genuinely see that as a possibility. Triple threat, Dom, Penta, Rusev, leaving Dom open for Survivor Series John Cena. This is what I want to see. The Dom storyline that they've been telling over the last couple of weeks with Penta and with Rusev has been one of the better, most refreshing things on Monday Night Raw, and I would love for WWE to do the rare thing, which is to pay off these storylines on the mid-card for the mid-card titles on PLEs or PLE adjacent shows, whatever you want to call Saturday night's main event, as opposed to just a random episode of Monday Night Raw. This has been good enough, entertaining enough, and people are clamoring to see Dominic Mysterio in bigger stages, that this warrants being at the very least on a low-risk show like a Saturday night's main event. But I also like what you're saying. It opens up Dominic Mysterio for something bigger at War Games, whether it's internal fighting with Finn Balor for the Intercontinental Championship, maybe a match for the AAA Mega Campeonato, or the big one, the one that pretty much everybody wants, is that match with John Cena for the Intercontinental Championship. God, I hope that's the match that they decide to go with. Now, of course, that requires for this match to happen before that, and it necessitates Dominic Mysterio also retaining as well, which the way that the storyline is going, Dom should be retaining here because he's been outsmarting Rusev and Penta and pinning them against each other, and I absolutely could see that being the finish of the match, where Rusev and Penta just are so focused on each other that it opens up the door for Dominic Mysterio to once again weasel his way out with the championship. I think this Saturday night's main event is being set up as a PLE and not a filler between shows, 2 World Championship matches and more to come, and I think that they could run the spoiled ending of WrestlePalooza and have Orton cost Cody by accident. So yeah, we kind of talked about this, where this does sort of feel like a more consequential show. It feels like it's must watch. It feels like it's got the bones of a PLE, especially when you also look at the timing, because this isn't just like a couple of weeks before a PLE like Saturday night's main events tends to be. The next PLE isn't for like 4 weeks. So this has the timing of a PLE as well. And I love that you brought up the spoiled ending of WrestlePalooza. Reports were saying that the original plan that the guys themselves pitched in Cody Rhodes' idea was to have Randy Orton go out during the match of Cody and Drew McIntyre and try to help Cody, but accidentally cost Cody, and Drew McIntyre walks out as the champion. Funny enough, I thought that's what they were going to do on Friday Night SmackDown when we got that impromptu WWE Championship match, but I would love for them to run this here again, to go back what I was saying earlier, to give us that genuine shock and awe, and to really present the world that Saturday night's main event is a must-watch marquee event. Drew will win the World Heavyweight Championship with Jacob out of the picture, and the main event scene looking a bit thin. I feel like SmackDown could benefit from a heel champion. A program with someone like Sami Zayn or Priest, considering their history, could be fun. I mean, I certainly don't want to see Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest again, but at the very least, if it's for the WWE Championship, then sure, why not? Go ahead, sure, do it. At least it's something refreshing in the WWE Championship space. And honestly, most people weren't complaining about the fact that Drew McIntyre was facing Damian Priest. People were complaining about the fact that Drew McIntyre wasn't in the World Championship picture. So what if he's facing Damian Priest as the champion in the WWE Championship picture? I think people would be fine with it. That's probably a lie. I think a lot of people would probably be mad, but I wouldn't be one of them. But I think it'd be interesting if they could flip it upside down and go back to having a heel champion on Friday Night SmackDown, because now we do have Sami Zayn, this guy that has been freed up from his awesome work and burden of being an awesome United States champion. Now he can put that aside after losing to Ilya Dragunov and go after the WWE Undisputed Championship. I think a lot of people would be on board for that. And it's fun seeing the hero chase the championship and seeing a hero in Sami Zayn, the underdog. I say that in air quotes because at this point, I don't think that most people would qualify Sami Zayn as an underdog, but seeing Sami chase the WWE Undisputed Championship would be really, really refreshing. Bron Breaker will interrupt Punk versus Jey Uso, resulting in a DQ. He will also pose with the title at the end of the show. God, man. Honestly, anytime there is a match for a vacant title, wouldn't logic dictate that you should make this no disqualification so that you can guarantee that you walk out with a new champion? Because you're right. I think that this is entirely on the table. Not only do I think it's on the table, I think that there's a solid 25% chance that we walk out of Saturday night's main event with no world heavyweight champion, with the Vision going out there and interrupting the match. And honestly, I would hate it. I want to see a new world heavyweight champion being crowned. I want to see WWE deliver on the advertised promise of this world heavyweight championship match. If the Brons want to come out afterwards and attack the champion, sure, by all means, that's fine. But at the very minimum, I need a new champion. If he wants to take out the champion and then hold the championship and say, I'm next, wonderful. That'd be great. Thumbs up everywhere. Jelly Roll appears, hits a dragon screw from the top rope. Lights go out. Crowd cheers at first, and then they all go quiet. Boom. Lights back on. Santi Zap in the middle of the ring, lathering himself in coconut oil for millions to see. Crowd erupts, and WWE goes on to have the highest rated show ever, and Santi Zap gains 4 million subscribers. I'll have you know that half of the responses in this thread on X were just people saying that Jelly Roll is going to hit that top rope move to force me to oil up. I just don't think that that's going to be happening at Saturday night's main event. I think we're talking about a late 2027 thing. I know Jelly Roll right now is busy with tours and working as a musician because he did take some time off to do the wrestling thing. So I think I'm safe for a while, but I'll start to question my, I guess, my lack of oiled upness when we get closer to WrestleMania season. Nobody wins the World Heavyweight Championship. The Vision intervenes and debuts the new member in a main roster, debuting Obafemi. Thanks for the content, Santi. You're welcome. I love making it, and I'm just glad that you watch it. Here we go again, right? All right. Who's going to join the Vision? The Vision's going to have a new member. There's room. Unfortunately, again, we need to get back into this conversation. I think that Obafemi would make this faction so overpowered, it would be borderline unfair. It would be the biggest hack in WWE history to have a faction with Bronson Reed, Bron Breaker, and Oba frickin' Femi. But yeah, we're gonna have this conversation again probably for the next several months. Who's the new member of the Vision? Who's going to help Bron Breaker win the World Heavyweight Champion? Who's gonna fall in line? Maybe I could see it happening here on this show because there are rumors circulating again that the War Games match is now going to involve the Vision, something that was now, which people were saying it was going to be MFTs versus Wyatt 6. People are once again talking as if it's going to be the Vision, which requires the Vision to have people, friends, something, and I guess Oba or some other debuting member of the Vision could work here. Nikki Bella and Stephanie Vaquer lose to Raquel and Roxanne, setting up a title match on Raw with either Rox or Raquel, and the friction between Bella and Vaquer starting to be seen visible. You know, I'm saying that this show is starting to feel like a PLE, and I'm sorry, but Nikki Bella and Stephanie Vaquer versus Judgment Day doesn't really scream PLE. If anything, I'd rather see Stephanie Vaquer versus Raquel Rodriguez and have this tag match on the following episode of Monday Night Raw. And yeah, sure, you can then tell the story of the implosion of Nikki Bella and Stephanie Vaquer, because it's pretty clear, at least to me, you know, outside looking in, that that's the match that they are planning to run for maybe a show like Survivor Series War Games. But this match at Saturday night's main event doesn't particularly scream must watch. This screams Monday Night Raw. I can see Jey Uso gets crowned at Saturday night's main event. Jey Uso will be the new leader of the Vision as World Heavyweight Champion and becomes the next tribal chief, taking orders of the wise man, the Oracle, Paul Heyman. See, no, this right here would be a swerve for the sake of a swerve. I think that in no world does this make sense, but if you want me to rationalize it, here it is. He's trying to be more like Roman Reigns. What did Roman Reigns do to become the Roman Reigns, the tribal chief of lore, of history? He aligned himself with Paul Heyman. So there's your connection, right? Jey Uso aligns himself with Paul Heyman to be as close to Roman Reigns as he possibly can, and by doing so, he becomes the World Heavyweight Champion, and then we're starting to circle over again of a Bloodline member with a World Championship being a member of a faction that's being managed by Paul Heyman. There's your connection if you truly desperately want it. But I see this as like a 0% chance. Maybe I'm wrong. Come back here if I do end up being wrong, but I just don't see this happening. Becky Lynch will return and defeat Maxine at Saturday night's main event again and then starts attacking her, in which AJ Lee returns and fights her off, restarting their feud, leading to War Games with Team Becky with Kabuki Warriors and JD versus AJ with Rhea, Io, Maxine, and Stephanie. You know what's funny? I have basically no comment on this because I genuinely see this happening step by step by step. This is exactly how I saw things going initially before this show. I actually saw this happening on Monday Night Raw when we were having the matches between Becky Lynch and Maxine. I didn't think that the Maxine and Becky Lynch feud would go on as long as it has, but it's gotten to the point where I think Becky is going to do something dastardly post-match, like the beatdown of Maxine Dupree that triggers the return of AJ Lee and makes all of these dominoes fall. I genuinely see this happening beat for beat. Of course, for it to happen, it would require for Becky Lynch versus Maxine Dupree to be a match, and let's face it, I think it should be. I think it's earned the right to be on a PLE because this is one of the better told storylines on Monday Night Raw thus far. Austin Theory will return after the match between Jay and Punk and join the Vision, as in their point of view, it's their title. Sure, okay, why not? Okay, add Austin Theory, add Brock Lesnar, add Obafemi, add everybody. Again, I say, weirdly, this is a show where it makes sense for a new member of the Vision to debut. I'm done giving it total brain power because it dominated so much of the conversation in the summer. I'm just not gonna let it dominate my conversations anymore. She comes back. They're teasing it, right? They've already restarted the little conversations, the little side chats between Roxanne and Dominic Mysterio, which I think is hinting at once again restarting the story of Dominic being seduced by somebody else, and that could trigger the return of Liv Morgan. So I could see it happening soon, just not at Saturday night's main event. All right, folks, thank you so much for watching today's video. Thank you so much for your submissions. Go Blue Jays. I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Goodbye. Get out of here.